Welcome back in once again, everybody, to the forum that gives you the highs, the lows, the means, and in-betweens, as this is Predictions League Breakdown, as we bring you up to score with the leaderboards, this time with the WWE PLE League of 2026. So let's go ahead and get right into the statistics. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here once again to Predictions League Breakdown. You know what this is, for I am the Superman of the Superman, the voice of SRS for Graver for All Things Professional Wrestling. Damn it. And my name is Noel Foster, so thank you all for tuning in, whether live or on demand. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend. Let us know how you scored, if you also predicted as well. And if you want to dictate the conversation, super chat or PayPal the passions is as simple as that. Of course, I am never alone, my fellow Italian statistician with all the style and the form he could bring. PapaGino, representing the PapaGino Network, it's once again back in the co-host seat. Gino, how are you? We are finally removed from SummerSlam weekend. It was quite a wild one, to say the least.
I mean, we did a little bit of the post-show analysis, or more like a lot of it of the post-show analysis last night on your show, the shenanigans, and that was a lot of fun. Let's hope that some of my better analysis and takes don't get lost in the shuffle and that I can remember the stuff that is important. But what a lot of fun. For some of us. Apparently, some people did not have as much fun. And like I said last night, I just I don't know what else that you want, because this was just so much fun, especially night 2 and all of the things, whether you got the matches right, whether you got them wrong, which is what we're here to break down. I had a smile on my face until the wee hours of this morning. So,
yeah, and again, I lost my voice. It was definitely the moment that you might take away more than the matches. And again, if you want more of a simple take on that, go check out my YouTube channel community tab where I gave my own simple take and review on SummerSlam weekend. And shout out to Evan, who also gave his own simple review. And you can follow him, of course, at his forums as well. But without further ado, to your point, night 2, Blue Knight went out of the water for my freaking moment in fandom. But let's go ahead and get right into it. First and foremost, we're going to kick things off, bringing you the overall outlook of Team No DQ, and say out to No DQ, as AaronRift will, of course, give his weekly standard Monday Night Raw recap and review following tonight's edition of the Fall from SummerSlam. With that being said, here's the overall scores, and you did all right. You got 9 points overall, but once again, I spearhead everybody, as the only one that freaking whooped me was Trick Williams failing me, as I ended with 11. But overall, everybody on the team did rather well. The average score about was pretty close to 7 to 8, as you see across the board. And overall, I'm looking forward to breaking this down with you and also highlight not only the leaderboards, but also the leaderboards for the No DQ Galaxy that's joined in to our festivities as well. So first and foremost, Gino, how do you feel about your score?
Well, as somebody who strives for perfection, first of all, shout out to Aaron in the chat as well, watching. This is the grand reveal of the entirety of SummerSlam.
Whoa! Thanks, Aaron, but it's not over yet, bro. You're counting everyone out too early.
Yeah, and we will reveal where the rankings lie at the end of this video, so stay tuned. We'll see if Aaron has merit with that chat or not. But yeah, even though I didn't get a perfect score, strive for perfection, and a lot of these choices in hindsight seem almost not obvious, but it's logically sound choices.
Logically sound. There's your first mistake, bruv.
Well, I mean, after the fact, some of even the stuff I got wrong, I'm it made sense to me that they went the other direction. And again, we'll break that down match by match. But you got a 2-point advantage on me. I believe I'm tied for second in the amount of correct because nobody got a 10. So
you're correct
9
on that.
Being the second best there. So
yeah, you're with TJS and Steve-O that had the second highest score of the night, and then the following one below that was a multitude of 8s, including Walter Cruz, the Mega Wrestling JJ Williams, Dwayne Atkinson, and of course our own boss man, Sheriff AaronRift. So, but yeah, overall it was a very fun event to score. I really didn't see a whole lot of unanimouses between the team and the Galaxy. So yeah, I figured without further ado, now that we gave a taste of where your scores might be affected by, let's get right into it. First and foremost, let's go ahead and break down Saturday night SummerSlam. Of course, we had 6 matches each night, but Madman Rift, as he always likes to do, tries to put the league in his favor with a bonus point. And as you can see, not many people got that right. But that being said, let's just go right down the line and get right into things. Despite the fact we may not have this necessarily in order, why don't we go ahead and talk about, because we actually know the order, Liv Morgan and Io Sky. It was one of those things where I look at the track record of Liv Morgan and Io Sky in singles action. It's not very strong in favor of Io Sky. But I also look at the fact that Liv Morgan right now, from a character trait, she is the leading face of Monday Night Raw, despite the fact she is the most obnoxious heel, and that voice makes me want my ears to bleed. But also, the merit of a champion is how strong you present yourself to your challenger, and vice versa. This was honestly one of Liv Morgan's best wrestled matches I've seen in a long damn time from her. She truly brought it forward, and I think Io Sky, a lot of credit to her, but I feel like to me right now, there's too many things going against Io Sky for her to upset Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has the Judgment Day. There's the outlook of the fact that Raquel Rodriguez just won their Canelo Championship. Will Roxanne Perez win Money in the Bank. Io Sky is all alone. Stephanie still yet to return. So Ruka, not seen, she got wiped out on Monday Night Raw. It felt like an uphill battle for Io Sky, but a proving ground for Liv to show exactly why she could hold on to this for 100 days and not do a damn thing with it. Do I want to continue to do that? Absolutely not. But I gotta give Liv Morgan credit is due. For 95% of this match, she found her own and she proved her value.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the match. Listen, there's a lot of matches on both of these nights that if somebody told me that was match of the night, like I wouldn't just be like, you're completely wrong. There's one that I would say that too, but if you tell me that this was your favorite match of the night, I got no issue with that. Now going into the prediction, I was leaning Io Sky because of, Liv hadn't defended it for 100 days. And that's not her fault, right? I know she did it on some house shows. Shout out to Vinny. Vinny's always following us along. So
awesome fella.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. But at last minute, I decided to go with Liv Morgan over Io Sky for a few reasons, even though it was last minute, still had a few reasons. One being Io, we just had this match, so its merit in existing at all, whatever. That's why they probably started the show with it. We literally just had it on the last Premium Live event, and Io beat her. But, there's that whole kayfabe mentality. Well, it wasn't for my title, and when I'm fighting for my title, I try harder. Obviously, we do have the Judgment Day's potential involvement. I could have seen this one going either way, though. I went with Io, though, because it is her first defense, and they just had somebody lose their first defense after 100 days in Jade for this particular title. So, or maybe it was the other title, but either way, it was just done like that. So I wasn't sure that they were going to continue to do that. I said on my show on Major Push Wrestling that WWE clearly doesn't, they have that humble culture and they don't want people being bigger than the company, yet their whole women's division is basically on hold because of Stephanie being out and Rhea being out. Like, have a plan, have a backup plan. Like if the two people you're hinging your whole division on are hurt, and maybe prove to yourself that there aren't people bigger than your whole division. But that's a side tangent. I went with Liv Morgan. It was a fun match. Io doesn't necessarily need it. I just don't see where she goes from here. But Liv is more entrenched in storyline. So to me, at the end of the day, that was the deciding factor. Liv Morgan 1, 2, 3.
And right now, this year alone, Liv Morgan is now 2-0 against Io. The first time these two faced each other, of course, was earlier this year on Monday Night Raw, the Women's Chamber qualifying match, and Liv Morgan defeated Io Sky via disqualification. So you could preferably say it's 1-1-1, but right now, Liv's been the better against the Genius of the Sky. So whether or not Io gets another chance, because sure as heck gave her a run for her money, or you get a triple threat dance, it just made sense right now for me for Liv Morgan to retain or at least hold on to this, and others, I guess, can continue to cry about it. But it is what it is in this case, and I gotta give Liv Morgan credit. Looks like about half the team was kind of also in the same type of mindset as 12 out of the 20 members of Team No DQ also went with the champion retaining, but with the fact that WrestlePalooza is also on the horizon, and Sky defined the ESPN era at that show, fighting for that vacated title since Naomi got pregnant and beat Stephanie Valkyrie, I believe, for it. No. Stephanie beat Io for it in the vacancy. I thought that Io was actually going to go into that event as the champion for a moment. But again, like you said, there's too much wrapped up in Judgment Day. The odds in their favor and the storylines more in their casting that you had Liv Morgan leave the championship. So it is what it is. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Real quick, the last thing I want to say that this was our most split of the choices, where we had the almost 10 and 10. It was 12 out of 20 people thought it was going to go Liv, and they got it right, and then the other 8 thought that. So it was almost basically even. It was, and I think that the odds were saying that as well. But cry about it, is a Liv Morgan thing, of course. But I have the feeling that that's an early contender for theme of the night, like we usually do on our predictions videos, because there's going to be a lot of discussion today about people crying about certain things, whether it's tears of joy or tears of rage. So we're going to go on to the next match now, which to
your point, pew pew, or shall I run it back when it comes to how real you get when it comes to the bloodline? Because there's the first one that you and I got indifferent, because I went with the megastar, but let's just go ahead and let you open your thoughts here. The next match was that 6-man tag with Bloodline, 4.0, 5.0, I lost count. Jigga 2 and the Usos taking on Royce Keys, LA Knight.
Yeah.
And Solo Sikoa, who has shown more character and entertainment value than I think Rikishi did during his entire WWE run. In the short span now, he's been able to literally be himself and not be held down by the family. That being said, Gino, you went with the family. Why'd you go with the bloodline?
Okay, so we all know that, and if you don't know, now you know. We all know that you aren't really taking anything else into consideration other than your own thoughts and opinions. Yes. And that's admirable. It's proved you successful in this endeavor to this point so far. To me, I was really going back and forth on, are they really going to have the bloodline lose this match? I mean, again, like I started the video saying, in hindsight, obviously LA Knight needed a win. Royce Keys can't keep taking L's, and Solo Sikoa just turned babyface. Yeah. I did not think he was going to turn heel and join the bloodline at any point during this weekend. I think that would have been a fun bonus point. But Aaron will have eaten his bonus points words when we get to that bonus point question.
Stay Super Sunday, folks.
Yeah. So when we had the bloodline, I just thought that they're trying to build them back up. They're trying to make them feared and adversarial, even though you could argue this is 2 teams of baby faces. But you said entertaining Solo Sikoa. Bro, I hope it doesn't just stay he's entertaining when he's talking and working with his brothers, because that run it back and the promo he did on Raw, like, this man has found it. And not only that, the crowd is behind him. Where Aaron, our fearless leader on the No DQ review and NoDQ.com, shout out to Aaron as always, he was very anti-Solo. People have always been anti-Solo. They're not sure he could even be a baby face. And I just love when somebody is showing that they have it. And whether he's more entertaining than Rikishi, I don't know. I always loved him in Too Cool Dancing, so we'll have to see if this continues. I think an argument can be made for that for sure. But I picked the bloodline just because it felt like they wanted to make them formidable, and you could have had any one of these guys, Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa, be at odds with each other and not be on the same page. You got the arguably the greatest tag team of all time on the other side of that. But boy, what a match. The power slam over the barricade to Jacob Fatu. Bro, I've been watching wrestling for a long time, not as much or as long as you, of course, but I don't think I've ever seen that. And I love when I see something new and refreshing, just like when I saw Solo run it back for Jey Uso.
I can't believe he did that.
That's so original and so entertaining. And like, honestly, because of how good night 2 was, that almost got lost in the shuffle. But enough about that. I picked the Bloodline. I wanted them to stay formidable, but we'll see what's going on. I don't hate the decision to have the true faces go over. Noah, what went into your choice?
Much like when I was on the No DQ Predictions League panel, whether or not I joined the No DQ Predictions League panels again, stay tuned, folks. You want more of my actual thoughts? Stay tuned to the Cinemas brand and see the predicting, whether live or on demand. That being said, I look at it like this. The Bloodline has always been formidable. They need a rival. The only way you rival them is you find a summit to confront them. And LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys, for a short time in WWE, they all had bad blood against them, especially with the fall in that fatal four-way match where, of course, Royce Keys and Solo, they both kind of lost their chance out and even going after a world title. I also think about the tensions with the cousins when I think that Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu, they still not be fully agreeing with one another, because at the end of the day, Fatu serves the tribal chief. He doesn't serve Jey Uso. Yet Jey Uso, it feels like more often than not, he wants to be acknowledged to a degree. I also think about the tensions with LA Knight confronting the Usos ever since Roman Reigns came back, and Roman saying, I don't want you to serve me, I want you along beside me. Statistically, though, I also want LA Knight because so far, SummerSlam's been a great stage for him. In 2024, he won the Slim Jim Battle Royal, and of course, in Cleveland, the first ever two-night SummerSlam, he won the United States Championship from the Maverick Logan Paul. I feel like they don't give LA Knight enough credit, and we can say that for so many talents here, but the statistics for that are so much deeper than his predictions. But I feel like this stage is meant to give LA Knight maybe an olive branch. So the fact that it was SummerSlam, we need someone to oppose the Bloodline, brand split, LOL, and Solo Sikoa right now has more character development and entertainment value and babyface than becoming a two-faced traitor more often than Paul White and his longevity of his career, if that's what we're trying to go for here. I had to believe that this threesome could pull out the win. And to that degree, thanks to Solo stopping a 1D, Samoan spiking Jimmy, and LA Knight, BFT, and Jey Uso, that indeed was the fact. And you think about these six men, it really escalated first with LA Knight and Jey Uso. The fact that this match literally ended with those two, I think was icing on the cake. And I'm just glad to see LA Knight finally get a major win. And that's not an insult, that's just a fact of life.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sound reasoning. Again, I don't disagree with her. Usually when I am wrong with my predictions, I find a problem with the booking.
To be fair, you're in the majority that was wrong, as 14 of y'all got it wrong.
Yep, so that was one of our most lopsided ones. We'll get to the other one, the bonus one in a little bit here. But yeah, I mean, even when Solo did the spike on the apron, it was an entertaining way he did it. Like, he was kind of like, ha ha ha, like, shh, they don't know I'm here type of thing. Like, you could see him behind them in the camera shot. And that was just entertaining as hell. So moving on, what was the next match of the night?
Because, I mean, I felt like they broke up the trios, but honestly, I think the trios being back-to-back made more sense because at the end of the day, both of them gave their own story plot. Again, shout out to Caitlyn Bella. Keep holding out. Stay fearless for that dream. And, of course, you've been very vocal when it comes to one Bella particularly. For me, though, this had to be an influence guiding the SmackDown Women's Division in a different direction. We don't live anymore in the Divas era. We want to push women as professional wrestlers, although you might literally say Fatal Influence is trying to be WWE's own version of Beautiful People or trying to reinvent Toxic Attraction. Nonetheless, they're having the Women's Tag Team Championships that people in a bygone era or still part of that Fearless Army might still be waiting for the Bellas to achieve what they believe was minted for them in the first place, but never got the chance to achieve it. And Paige, not the first time that Paige has been betrayed. Again, one thing you always take away when Bellas are involved as baby faces: don't trust Nikki, period. Nikki is that proverbial heel of that era. She's all about herself. There's a reason why she didn't hit. Well, I'm not going to go down that trope, but I think there is some truth to that merit. I had to think that at the end of the day, after they lost the straps, there's going to be fallout here, and you're not going to have the Bellas immediately challenge Fatal Influence because in this non-traditional era of pro wrestling, that would be heel on heel, and that just doesn't work for me, bro. At the end of the day, I had to pick Fatal Influence, who is the newest team on the scene. Gotta get the win because it's the parts of the sum versus the sum of the parts. And this is a definitive trio that watches one another's back, clear as day during this match. For those that don't know, by the way, Brie Bella suffered a fractured scapula. We wish her all the best in her recovery efforts. It will be a long time before you see her back in in-ring action. And I just didn't see the Bella Twins and Paige upsetting Fatal Influence. For me, this was one of the easiest matches to call of the night.
Well put. I just want to say, as somebody who lives in the Tampa area, one of the most vain cities in America, I am no stranger to people enhancing the way that they look, and wrestling is an aesthetic business for the guys and for the gals. Look at Roman Reigns' teeth as a prime example of that. They even showed his buck beaver teeth for his original confrontation with Seth in that little highlight package that they did. But as far as easy, I love that you put it like that, because I didn't see this as so cut and dry. Number one, I picked Fatal Influence because at the end of the day, I did think the Bellas were going to turn on Paige. I actually told Dave, shout out Dave in the chat, I was sitting right next to him, I said, Paige is going to lose. She's going to take the pin, and then she's going to get turned on, and then that's going to be the whole thing. Like, that's going to be the reasoning, even though they didn't really need reasoning, but that's what made the most sense if the Bellas were going to turn. Now, when it comes to Fatal Influence, two of them are the tag team champions. So theoretically, if they follow the Freebird rules, they're all tag team champions. Thus, this not being for the title, because it wouldn't be because it's a trios match, means that they could take a loss and they're still strong because they have the title. So that's kind of what my reasoning would have been to pick Bellas and Paige beyond the fact that it was Nikki's first match back from injury. So those are reasons why I don't hate people picking the Bellas. You know how I feel about the Bellas. I feel even stronger about Paige. I got to meet her at a meet and greet, and I friggin' embarrassed myself to no end, which is, I still cringe thinking about that. That's maybe a story for another day. If somebody wants to super chat in, I will tell that story. But
you heard it here first, folks.
At the end of the day, JC Jane was not involved in the ladder match. And that only could mean one thing. It could mean that she has to get her win here. They don't want to give her a loss in that match. So they really want to make her strong and look for her potential, maybe top 3 favorites to win Money in the Bank.
I mean, she did pin Paige, to your point. So again, team leader leads by example.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's about all. Like I said, 14 out of 20 got that correct. Again, one of the, closer to 50-50 options that we had here. The other ones are a little bit more varying, but I did enjoy the match, and I don't want to...
Except for Brie Bella, who was pretty much out of commission from the get-go, but kudos to her continuing, but scapula, oy vey.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, and you could tell she was injured, like, my buddy was telling me that she's just selling it, and I was like, bro, they're doing a post-match beatdown. You think that she was only supposed to just get some kicks in? No. Some stomps in? No. She literally hasn't moved her arm. She's holding her arm. She's hurt, but she toughed it out just like her sister finished the match when she got hurt. If you guys don't have respect for these women, that's fine, but you have to respect their ability to finish these matches, male or female, finishing a match with an injury. When we've seen numerous wrestlers, Javon Evans, Penta, AJ Styles, things like that, where the matches get stopped because they're injured. I'm not saying none of those guys and gals are tough. I'm just saying it's badass when you could get hurt legitimately and finish the match, even if it's a multi-person match.
It just seems like the Bellas have their own just telepathy where one is going to get injured and the other is just going to continue in their place. And it just seems like such a flawed concept in what you thought would be an actual effective tag team in WWE, but one can't seem to stay healthy versus the other. It's like it's not meant to be.
It almost feels like it's not meant to be. However, I think this situation is going to be better than the WrestleMania situation, not because Nikki is healthy and Brie is not, but because they can have Brie versus Paige or Nikki versus Paige continue as a story, not as a team that doesn't make sense. Forgive me, they're twins. But
well, one's clearly different from one perspective, but
I will say they both definitely have enhancements. One of them is just larger than the other and predate the other one. So
I don't know if one uses Earth-friendly resources, though. If you know, folks. But that being said, let's switch gears. Before I move into our next match, looks like someone took you up on that little bit of a challenge because Dave Scheffler just sent a $5 super chat. So, Gino, tell your story, bro.
Okay, now I want to preface this with I am a happily engaged man
Yes, you
here in
are.
2026. I did not have a girlfriend, and I was a single lad back in the NXT days. This is when she had just gotten her Divas Championship, but she was still kind of a part of NXT, appearing on the NXT house shows. Back when the WWE Network was $9.99,
The
all
good
of
old
those things.
days.
Corey Graves talked to me at NXT. I have the autograph page. I'll have to go look for it with Paige, Alexa, Alpha Academy or American Alpha, whatever.
Thank you.
People signing that thing. So that's the era we're talking about. And I had brought my little kids toy WWE title because I don't buy the $500 ones. I'm just not. I would love one, but I'm not going to buy myself one. So anybody, Santa Claus, if you're listening, I would love a spinner belt, but we'll see how that goes.
I mean, the no DQ predictions pool is like, so I mean, you will be pretty close to it.
Okay, so we doing the meet and greet at the show. Like, this was happening either before or after the NXT event. I think it was before, but either way, with my buddy, obviously Paige is a beautiful woman, and I'm like 26 years old, whatever it was, and I have my title and I have a black Sharpie, and I'm like so nervous, but I'm also thinking, I'm a good looking guy, maybe she might find me attractive, whatever. But as soon as I got there, I just started stumbling on my words, like I had just eaten my first THC gummy of all time, type of thing. And I'm just like, like, you're awesome. Can you sign this championship? Blah blah blah. And she looks at me, and I got laughed out of the building. And I gave her the black Sharpie to sign the black leather strap of my championship. And she goes, "This isn't gonna show up on here. You need a silver one." And it was like that scene from The Office with Toby was looking for a camera to take a picture with Pam. Does anybody have a camera? I was like, does anybody have a silver Sharpie? Nope. And I was just like, okay, well, I just got the little, 10 by 12, 8.5 by 11 one sheet with NXT, and I had her sign that. And then I literally like couldn't look her in the eye. Not that I was looking at her anywhere else. I was like looking at the floor. But I was like, okay, maybe, whatever. But like when I was embarrassed like that, I got beat red. Like I was like a little kid, and I was super embarrassed, and people were laughing, but it was like my first time asking anybody for an autograph on a title. Like, I don't know all this stuff. Now I know it. Now I know, because that's life, folks. You live and you learn. But that's the story of Mean PapaGino getting himself embarrassed by the new Divas champion at the time, Paige. And so Dave, thank you for the super chat. And whoever that goes to, you deserve it. That's the story, and we will move on with our predictions accordingly.
Unless anyone else has a super chat, they want to learn anything else about PapaGino or me for that matter, because Lord knows I ain't telling Jack Dooley for free. But that being said, there you go, folks. And again, that's just some of the other subtle content you would get out of us here in conversation. Whether you want to ask us a question or this versus that, would you rather have, or you want perspective opinions on anything in and out of predictions. Again, this is its own forum. Two men in a suit talking stats. Simple as that. Let's go ahead and keep going, though, shall we? Getting back into our festivities. Again, congratulations to Fatal Influence and Jesse Jane. That, whether that was Kafer or not, that post-match spot saying, "You're not needed here." Accurate. You're not. I mean, come on, we gotta move forward here. And again, to Grayson Waller's credit and his pipe bomb, the women definitely could take over the business if WWE truly lets them. So I'm holding out for Fatal Influence, especially Fallon Henry, because she's from the bi-state area. Shout out to Tessa Price. Okay, that being said, shouting out to professional wrestling, let's go ahead and talk about, was it really once in a lifetime? Was it one night only? Was it a dream achieving victory despite the fact that he put his own freaking boss to sleep? And maybe humbled him in the process, as we had Gupta versus Nick Aldis, the national treasure, versus Daleen Dedero for the first time ever. And again, not unanimous, but I do think that goes to the credit that we thought that this could be more, because we can't remember for the longest time the last time we had a 40 figure confront a WWE superstar and you turn it into a multi-match tier story. Because honestly, I kind of got over that trope myself. I feel like the wrestlers now need to dictate their own narrative, and the general manager just needs to either enforce a match that pushes it or make the matches official that they want for it. That's just me. That being said, though, I was fairly impressed not only with Nick Aldis's physical and conditioning, but the way he carried himself here against Gunther, really keeping him on his heels, looking for that Texas Cloverleaf and even going after the sleeper hold. But there's a reason why I have the NXT UK Championship with Gunther sideways. There's a reason why I uphold Darlene General as one of the best wrestlers that WWE is very fortunate to have, despite the fact they fumbled again more times than I can count. So I was not going against Gunther right here, who's been stagnant since arriving on SmackDown, losing out on the undisputed undisputed WWE Championship, not once, but twice. Gotta win at WrestleMania. This is the next of the big four. Money in the Bank is not a big five. I said what I said. I think Gunther goes across the big four. I don't think he killed a career, but I think he definitely got a little bit of momentum back. I had to go with the ring general here. What was your outlook on this match, Gino?
Okay. So another match that going into it, I could see it going either way. And maybe that's the theme of the night. It could have gone either way. All of this stuff, in my opinion, could have gone either way. I think, obviously, everybody knows, whether you know me or whether you don't know me, everybody knows that how I feel about John Cena, which means how I feel about Gunther is directly related to that.
Personal bias.
What they have done with Gunther since then, do I think it's worthy of having retired John Cena? No. But technically, he didn't retire him. It was his last match regardless. So that's my headcanon, as they say, even though WWE won't address it like that. He didn't really retire Goldberg. It was his last match anyway. He didn't really retire John Cena. So that's me rewriting history with facts, mind you. But I could have seen this going either way. You could have had Aldis beating Gunther, so that way it's, you showcase him. Maybe Gunther took him too lightly, didn't take him seriously. We've seen that be a flaw in Gunther's game in the past. So I think there's merit to that going into it. And obviously, Nick Aldis has his accolades and stuff, but no matter what you've done in the past, he hasn't wrestled for 1,000+ days, and Gunther hasn't won a match in basically forever. So
since WrestleMania. So
I had to pick Gunther. I would have been fine if Aldis won, because then he could have, he's still gonna have that same mystique. Like, hey, if you cross me, I'll just fight you in the ring, and then we can just hash it out. So that could be something moving forward for anybody. But he had to bury the hatchet with Gunther in night 2, put him in the thing. We'll talk about that later. This was very clearly just to showcase Nick Aldis and what he can do. And it had to be Gunther. I thought that, the match was great. Relatively speaking, it's not like, doesn't stand above the rest of the matches, but I was so looking forward to this match. And I think he might have tapped out a little quickly. But maybe they were telling him, let's go home. The timing of whatever, I don't know. But, Gunther also, I'd probably tap within a half a second of being put in that chokehold. So there's that, again, my logic behind it. But at the end of the day, I went with Gunther. I would have been fine with Aldis winning, and I think that the storyline could have been awesome coming out of it. But at the end of the day, you need to strengthen Gunther. He literally is their top heel in the company right now. Legit. That's not currently injured in Logan Paul. So, Gunther, what about you?
Like I said, it just comes down to me that Gunther, again, we need to move away from being a discomplacent worker and trying to get back on pace towards what he should be, and that is the freaking champion. There's a reason why they moved him to SmackDown, because you're not going to have Gunther versus Roman Reigns unless it was in Austria, and somehow you make up for the fact you turn Drew McIntyre into a singing idiot. If you know, folks. I also look at Nick Aldis, and I think about what he's done since here in WWE. I think he's been a great authority figure, honestly. I think it's really fit his mold well. But like Mickey James says, you don't get in this business unless you're trying to go to WWE and compete on the grandest stages, and you're foolish to think anything different. The fact that he was able to do that not only in front of his wife, but also in front of his son, especially for Nick Aldis, like I said, and like he said on Chris Van Vliet, you only get one shot. This is my one chance. And I think he achieved it and excelled in it. I don't think he has nothing else to prove. I also ironically want to bring up this little stat. In a previous lifetime, the legendary Gunther Walter, under a different name known as Big Von Walter, he was involved in a tag match alongside Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce back in 2012 in a losing effort. So again, Gunther has now been connected to both the GMs in a way. So it feels like to me kind of like a full circle type thing. You're looking at three of the oldest traditionalists of this business, and two of them held, of course, the NWA World Championship. But I look at Gunther right now, see him going forward for the championship again. I don't see him butting heads with an 40 figure. I'm over that trope. Don't need to see it in this year. I don't need to see it in this state of the business. Especially when, let's just call it what it is, no one's going to be as visible as a force to overcome in the industry's history than Vince McMahon was. Second, maybe Eric Bischoff. Nick Aldis is just not like that.
I mean, at the end of the day, the match served its purpose. I mean, they took Gunther's win right away later, but, you know, I in a multi-person match, I still think Gunther comes out of this strong, and I really look forward to seeing them have those discussions. And we have now Aldis at the end of the night was reinstated as the GM, but he had to bury the hatchet with Gunther, which he did.
Business.
So,
straight business.
You know, that's what it is. You know, it was personal, but it's business. And, so that was 16 out of 20, got it right. Again, Gilbert, JJ, David, and Colin, like, no shame in your game whatsoever. I do think that this could have gone either way, and I would have been satisfied with either result.
You could have literally got out of the sleeper hold and literally somehow flipped Gunther down and pressed the shoulders down. I've seen that how many times with like Shayna Baszler, for example. All it takes is literally being caught in your own submission. I was expecting him to do that. And again, tell the tape, both men, similar build. Of course, Gunther slimmed down from the 300-pound megalodon that he once was in the bygone life. Fit physique. It was a very even-paced match. And honestly, it wasn't like something extraordinary, but it wasn't really anything messy. It was probably one of the better, simpler forms of the matches this past weekend. It didn't have to be more than what it was. And I think Aldis, I don't think he wanted anymore. I didn't think he needed any more. So there you go. Well, that being said, going to a whole different extreme, of course. Oh, how silly of me. I almost forgot before that. AaronRift apparently thought the Undisputed WWE Championship was the most important title in WWE to actually be the closer for night one, much like the World Championship. But I'm pretty sure Virtue even said it best. Roman now has this belt, so now this belt's the most important. And look at which one closed night two versus which one was the semi of night one. As many of you got that wrong. Outside me and you, Gino.
Yeah, so the bonus point, it was a good idea for the bonus point, because going into it, it wasn't announced. It wasn't announced at SmackDown. Yes, at the title that Roman holds, you could make a strong argument for it's the championship. However, that Seth and Roman storyline is the storyline for the championship. The Cody and Punk, that just, I mean, yes, they have teased it, but Seth and Roman have the history. That match was going to close no matter, even if Brock had the WWE title going into this Hell in a Cell match, which we'll discuss in a second. I still think Seth and Roman, the two guys who are full-time wrestlers, argue full-time with Roman. You won't hear an argument with me, but those guys with the history, that's the story of WWE. Those guys defined a generation that had to go on last, even if it wasn't for a title. But for this match, I thought ESPN loves Brock Lesnar, so they're going to want to put him on the first hour again. But going into right before showtime, the card leaked or whatever, and they said that the Hell in a Cell was going to go on last, so I changed my pick still before the deadline, which is allowed, by the way.
That's correct.
And I changed it from the Undisputed Championship
That's
to
a
Hell in a
dangerous favorite
Cell.
line on a dirt sheet, though, Gino. Be careful playing with that fire.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about betting on matches and all the people that lost all their money betting on Sammy and or Finn when we get to night two, because I can't even imagine putting money on that match and then what had happened. But there was no first hour on ESPN.
No.
There was no first hour. And if I had known that, I guess I didn't even realize. I just expected it. Had I had known that, that would have been the easiest. That might have been the easiest bonus point in all of Predictions League history, because no way is Brock going on first when it's not on ESPN. Yes, he's gone on first because he knew he wasn't going to finish, but that was their spot. But Aaron had even mentioned it. Like, how do you follow Hell in a Cell with the WWE Championship? People are thinking, well, Cody's going to turn and blah, 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 blah. Like, and that could have been fine and stuff. But I want to talk real quick about the design of the card. Combat Sports have their two biggest matches go back to back to finish the show.
Right.
They don't do blow off matches, bathroom break matches, cool down matches. If it's a cool down match or a bathroom break match, it should not be on the card at all. You start maybe with something strong, but usually you start low, your undercard, your mid card, your main event. That's how Combat Sports cards are built. And I really like that WWE did this both nights. They had the matches that people wanted to see going on last. Maybe it's because they didn't want people to leave the stadium because they got what they wanted. Maybe it's because they wanted to make sure people tune in. Whatever. This is a time-honored tradition, a tale as old as time. Boxing, wrestling, UFC. You put your people. Co-main event matches don't open the shows. I don't like when the World Heavyweight Championship is whatever with Jey Uso. Oh, what? Like, put it towards the end. I like that they built these both cards to have their 2 or 3 marquee matches finishing the show. And there was no more of a marquee match, because I do think that we're not going to see Brock Lesnar for a while. And I switched it to Hell in a Cell. I'm glad I did, but only 4 of us got that bonus point, Noah. So what went into your decision making for that?
If Hell in a Cell wasn't starring this show, you could bet your ass I thought was going to end it. Not just the ramifications of who we're dealing with here, but also the background of the playground that we're at. Not only is Brock Lesnar undefeated in this structure, and of course he took the torch for the yard of WWE from The Undertaker, but also he used to be involved in Minnesota. And I thought they were going to use that as a cheap pop. Because at the end of the day, when you think Brock Lesnar actually has a human heart, he used to be a Minnesota Viking. And Lord knows in the ESPN era, WWE loves to feed down sports tropes. We saw it throughout the night, even with the colors of some of the gear that some people wore that were even from the damn city or the university. I also consider the fact that right now, looking at what is the bigger story, I consider Oba and Brock bigger than CM Punk and Cody. So I figured that they were going to end with the bigger attraction, it felt like to me. And speaking of big, doesn't get bigger than Oba Family and Brock Lesnar, the two kaijus right now of WWE. For me right now, it feels like the WWE Championship is stagnant. So many people complain, oh, the same 2 or 3 people in this spot at the top, blah, 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 blah. Damian Priest. And Paul Levesque with his lackluster episodes only he could do in media. It just felt like to me that right now, WWE Championship is not as important as it should be. So being the semi-main, or honestly, I thought it was going to be maybe middle, if not opener, wouldn't have surprised me in the slightest. Plus, looking at WrestleManias, that's kind of how they treated that trope to a degree. And honestly, since WrestleMania, I have not seen the USPW Championship in the same light or glory. So I kind of lost a little bit of interest in that. And honestly, the number one thing I was looking forward to outside my match, Gunther and Nick Aldis, because I'm a traditional wrestling fan, I was looking forward to see how lethal Brock Lesnar and Family could be inside Hell in a Cell. And for the fact that it wasn't as lethal as I thought it would be, it damn sure still wasn't enough when it needed to be, and that's all that matters. So I had to go with Hell in a Cell at the end of the day. You don't bring out Hell in a Cell unless it is a major attraction. It is not a buffer, damn sure ain't a cooldown, and Brock Lesnar, you're not putting him in the middle of the card. Brock Lesnar is an opening act or the main attraction. Here, main attraction. Enough said.
Yeah, and again, I don't even think Brock Lesnar is an opening attraction. I just think that he would rather not wait all night if he's not going to main event. So I don't even think they want to have him open the show unless it's ESPN and they get to showcase a real former UFC heavyweight champion,
UFC, NCAA, and right. all the sport tributes.
Yeah, so we move on to the title, which I believe the man makes the title. So right now, CM Punk, he really hasn't done much. He's only been champion for a short amount of time. Yeah. And, they did have that stare down, which is okay, but maybe a little too late.
How many
Uh,
stare-downs have they had though, and then said the same trope? The only difference is right now, okay, who really doesn't like who, despite I love you. It felt like to me like, okay, this is Despicable Me 3. We're running it back more than Jay Uso's yeeting. Seen it, seen it, seen it. Is there really a different intention here? Am I supposed to expect anything different? And for what it's worth, during the match, it was something different, but going in, kind of whatever. Continue.
right. And a lot of the impactful moments of the build were kind of childish things. Oh,
Exactly.
you hit me with the strap. You did it on purpose. Like my man's getting friggin' pop rocks on the outside of the ring at last year's SummerSlam by John Cena, and he's getting attitude adjustment on the ramp. But you hit me in the head with the strap, and then I'm gonna elbow you on purpose from behind at a house show. Like that's not how you build. And again, the build was the build. I still think the card delivered, but at the end of the day, we're all kind of sick of babyface Cody Rhodes at this point. Nothing against the guy. He just imagine never getting The Rock versus Roman Reigns because Cody needed to finish his story, and then a year and a half later, he's a 4-time champion. I can't. I just can't get behind that. Had to be CM Punk. He just got the title. Is he really going to lose his first title defense after the previous person he beat it for just lost his first title defense? Is that really the trend we're going on? Is our WWE champions can't win their own title defenses?
I mean, this is the WWE. I'm just saying this title's changed hands now 4 times this year alone, Gino. Don't let anything slip you by.
I have no problem with that. I know that there are people that do have a problem with that. I think you might have a problem with that too, but I don't have a problem with a lot of people being at the top of the card, fighting for the richest prize in the industry, the most prestigious prize in the industry. I have no problem with that. I just have a problem with 2 back-to-back first defense losses. That just doesn't sit right with me. Had to be CM Punk.
Fair enough. And again, this is their second ever singles match, by the way. Their first singles was back on Monday Night Raw in 2008, and CM Punk won. I also look at, again, the trend, SummerSlam. Last year at SummerSlam, your boy John Cena lost the Undisputed WWE Championship to Cody Rhodes in a street fight, and this was rumored to be a street fight, according to what I heard from my ATW crew, because, again, I don't follow dirt sheets, but you and all other yahoos I come to know apparently buy into that stuff. But again, you all gotta feed your curiosity somehow. I just watch game shows and play video games and watch other wrestling.
Let me just, to that point, I only pay attention to the stuff that I see sent in the no DQ chat. I'm not.
Good man. As a part of my no DQ, I respect that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if that comes in, then I'll be like, wait a minute, is this what's out here? Is this like, because that's what went into changing my pick. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten this point. Because
I wonder with how much AaronRift actually has to do that and publicize that and feeds into that. Is that what negatively impacts him in predictions?
Maybe because he has to see what everybody's saying. But we'll have to ask him on the review coming up. But so, yeah, you picked CM Punk.
Yeah, and again, CM Punk, he won the World Heavyweight Championship last year. Only had the moment for 5 minutes, 26 seconds. He just won the championship, to your point. He comes in as the defending champion this time. And as far as looking at titles, prestige, and value, this is the first time he's with the Undisputed WWE Championship in over a decade plus. And Cody Rhodes, SummerSlam, it has been his stage since he's been back. Beat Brock Lesnar in 2024, beat Solo Sikoa in 2023, I believe. And of course, last year, beat John Cena. But did I see him going 4 years back to back with a victory? Nah, I feel like we had to change that trend, so that's also another thing. But I didn't expect the X Factor out of nowhere to be a part of that outcome. I just figured CM Punk was going to out-wrestle him because that's what they're trying to sell this as at the end of the day. But I guess you got to leave some sort of room to run this back to see if Cody is still truly better than CM Punk. At the end of the day, the result, though, still remains what I expected it to be, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I do try to bring logic into things because I think when things are logical, it makes it more enjoyable. If you have a movie like Spider-Man this weekend, right? I'm not going to spoil anything, but if a movie sets up its own in-universe rules, like this is what's possible, and then they break their own rules, I think that is not enjoyable. It's illogical. Like you're asking me to suspend my disbelief to watch a wrestling match. We'll discuss the no count out situation and the main event of night 2. but like you have rules and then you break them and there's inconsequential things.
What are the
They're
rules?
setting up.
What are the rules? What are the rules?
Cody's basically saying my finisher sucks balls because if he doesn't hit you with it 3 times in a row, you're not losing type of thing unless you're a mid-card act. And I think on the contrary to that, when we have Baron Corbin who will hit you with one-ended days and it's lights out, like, and we'll get to that. But for the love of God, Cody, stop agreeing to do false finishes with your finisher. You could do, it's a finisher for a reason. That's the logic. This is a finisher. And I think finishers should be protected. You know, CM Punk is starting to have his finisher be diminished as well. My buddy says it's the worst finisher. Doesn't look like it hurts at all. He never connects. This GDS is bad finisher. I disagree with that, but that's what he says. But he has to do the one into the ropes and then back on. Like, how many times is CM Punk going to have to do that? If I have to do 2 or 3 of my finishers to beat you, it's not because you're tough. It's because your move sucks. Like Roman said when he did the crossroads to Cody and he couldn't beat him, he goes, that move sucks anyway. No lies detected. Continue.
Okay, then. And on that outlook of finishers and the sleeves roll up, I mean, again, though, it just felt like to me there's a reason why they had CM Punk leave for 3 months and come back here to now rule the blue brand instead of the red. That's all I have to say about that. And I think people, to your point, are tired of seeing Cody hold this championship. They want to see something different. And when we get to night 2, now we know we got a first-time dynamic. So congrats to Punk and Randy Orton. I think a lot of people might actually be saying thank you. Did he pull a dastardly task or did he save us actually from something far worse? You be the judge, W Universe. Anyway, that match, it was okay.
It was fine. It wasn't better than CM Punk's Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania, but Roman's match was better than that with Seth. But I'm more just tired of seeing Cody in the title picture. I get it. He's your big baby face. I get it. Maybe I'm sounding like the people I used to hate who would say these same things about John Cena, but I want to see Cody Rhodes doing meaningful stuff outside the title picture. And it looks like for at least the foreseeable future, we will be getting that with him and Randy Orton. So I am excited about that with Cody Rhodes.
Well, speaking of the future, you want to talk about putting somebody at the very top of the pressure cooker, at the very top echelon, a class of its own in this business, because there's Brock Lesnar, there's everybody else. Well, apparently we finally found the next big thing. So, Gino, again, I felt like here and again, there was like maybe 2 people overall, even in the Galaxy, that picked against Obafemi. If Oba doesn't win, we blank. And this is the match game. You all can fill that blanket whatever you want. Whether you riot, whether you piss and moan on the X, whether you leave WWE, whether you stop watching, whether you actually think they actually have a future for it in this business, or they're going to book Brock until he no longer can actually stand on his own 2 feet. Or botch an entrance and roll through and still turn it into a meme that's actually entertaining. I don't think 99% of the time you could actually give a reason why Obafemi should have lost here. Despite the fact Walter went with that, I almost wondered, was that a botch and was he drunken on his stuff when he did that? Your outlook, Gino, though, on the Hell in a Cell match. And again, like we talked about, it wasn't lethal, but it did what it needed to do in the end. And what Undertaker did for Brock did for Oba. And the fact that Brock literally used Undertaker mannerisms go back to that level of respect and guardianship for this yard or for this stage in this business.
So this one, I said about all the other matches, it could have gone either way. I do think that the WWE Championship was rather expected from that regard, but I could have seen them putting Cody over. With this one, it literally made absolutely no sense for Brock to be beating Oba here at all. So this is the one that I saw for sure was going to have this outcome. Yes, he did the Undertaker mannerisms. He sat up. He did the tombstone with the crossed arms. I can't remember if he stuck his tongue out or not because I was staring at Oba's shoulders, praying that he was going to kick out of that. Because
he did. Thankfully, he did.
Thankfully, he did. And Brock taking that or delivering that tombstone with no knee pads on the wood was, he's just a beast. I mean, there's no which way about it. Before we get into the prediction, the breakdown element of it. I said it last night on your show. I'm going to say it here again. But I don't want to be somebody that sounds like they're complaining. I have no problem with the lack of usage of the cell. That would I have liked to see more of it? Of course. Would I like $1 million? Of course. But I'm also fine right now making do. But
facts.
Yeah,
Agreed.
like, are you really going to have two of your literal gods of wrestling right now? Like you don't show God bleeding. They're not going to have Brock get color. They're not going to have they're certainly not going to have Oba get color.
Well, black don't crack, if you've heard that trope before. I'm just saying.
I mean, we have, but I was I expecting one of these Drew McIntyre, CM Punk beatdowns like that and all these extra weapons and stuff? For sure. But I've said it a million times. You can't let your speculation become expectation, because then you're left for disappointment. They did the one little spot with the table that I thought wasn't, it wasn't the best spot. The table could have been angled a little bit more, could have broke a little better, whatever. But people must be playing too much WWE 2K where they want somebody thrown through the cell to the outside of the ring and all this stuff. No, to me,
do they still break that in the newer games? Do they still break that?
It's a good question. I mean, if you can climb to the top, which I imagine you can, you have to get out somehow. Either it's the door or either it's breaking one of the fencings. But at the end of the day, the Hell in a Cell was more for aesthetic than it was for purpose or keeping them in the ring or anything like that. And I'm fine with it. I am fine with it. It's for about promotion too. We wanted to see this match more because it was going to be Hell in a Cell. It worked, but I said it to the start of this diatribe by saying on your show last night, I said this. That's not an original thought, but I do agree with it. I don't think either man is better off having had, because he did the endorsement for Oba. Okay, he did that at WrestleMania. Oh, we saw Oba beat Brock. Okay, he did that at WrestleMania. The only thing that happened is we got to see Oba lose his only match on the main roster. Now he's beatable. Now he doesn't have that presence, which Brock wasn't losing matches like that early in his career. Is that Brock's fault? No, it's TKO's fault 100%. But we did get Brock and Oba being able to work together a lot more behind the scenes. So if anything, Oba might be a better ring psychologist and be better as a wrestler moving forward because he got to sit down with Brock and plan things and talk about being a beast and all that stuff for a longer period of time. But you had this all decided and done and figured out at WrestleMania. Everybody thought he was a beast. ESPN got to see it because I was at a bar because I had my buddy's rugby division championship. So they were showing, they had ESPN on the bar and they had the pre-show and all that stuff. And if they did the first hour there, then people who don't watch wrestling are sipping their beer, having things, talking with friends, but looking up at the TV and, who is that monster? Like, that's why I think ESPN is good for WWE in that regard. They didn't do that, obviously, but I think that it's really just rinse and repeat. Nothing is really different coming out of this than it was coming out of WrestleMania. And I just don't see, you could only really make them all look worse. You guys get what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, it had to be Oba. It had to be Oba. There was no need to extend this feud other than to milk more people out of their money to get them to see what ultimately should have just been Oba running through Brock until he retired Brock on Saturday anyway. But had to be Oba. I'm glad with what we got. And that's thank you, Brock.
It's just one of those things, though, that, again, to your point, when it came to Brock Lesnar's early career, and of course, I'm talking about when he first started, we gotta consider two things here, Gino. Oba Femi has no prior wrestling background. Brock Lesnar did. He came to us from Nigeria as a fan of the business. His biggest idols was Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. He's a shot put champion. He was brought into the NIL program in a breakout tournament where he became a notorious NXT North American champion, was virtually unstoppable before he freaking faced the likes of, I'm trying to remember who took the damn title from him.
Ricky
I can't remember
Saints.
that. Oh, yeah. Well, no, he took the NXT championship. Tony D. Yeah, Tony D on the CW. No one cares. And either way, I don't care about either of those. Not my NXT. But the fact of the matter is, he's had less losses, I think, in 3 years than Brock Lesnar actually did his first 3 years. I mean, yeah, he won the King of the Ring, all right? But when it came to going after the Intercontinental Championship, because I was doing research while you were doing your diatribe there, especially when it came to Brock's youth, Brock's genesis, he had a rough going too for a little while. He was facing Rob Van Dam. He lost out against him for the Intercontinental title. In tag matches, he was losing to the likes of Booker T and the Undertaker. Of course, had that fallout with Mark Henry, Big Show, and then of course he became Vince's puppet, destroying the likes of Hulk Hogan and what. And of course, he was the heavyweight champion, guys. Big break against The Rock. So there were those key moments where he did lose, but he also still won afterwards, and it didn't necessarily affect him. He just kept going forward. Now, standard or not, between going away from WWE to MMA and coming back home, that's a whole different story. But the people that Brock literally was put over by The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Kurt Angle, John Cena, whatever you want to say.
Big Show.
Well, yeah, there's that. The 500-pound superplex called by Taz. It feel like to me, with Femi right now, he has not had that major adversary to push him forward. And whether or not you think he's been stagnant, you don't get a bigger jump start in your main roster run than against Brock Lesnar if he chooses to work with you. And according to JJ, this was the most in-depth that Brock's ever worked with anybody. So that has to speak values to the trust in Brock Lesnar having Obafemi carry the business as long as he had. Maybe there's actually a bit of human decency in Obafemi too that we don't know versus Brock that people think he has none. So to find one diamond in the rough from Brock Lesnar's standpoint has big values. Now, was it maybe overbooking and how they did it? Yes, I think WrestleMania should have just been a one and done. We all thought that, but they had to add on to fill in that spot because let's think about it. After WrestleMania, what was he doing? He was just crushing jobbers in 2 minutes. You thought King of the Ring was going to capital to me to Roman Reigns. They want to slow cook, slow burn Roman and Oba. To this point, I think they're going to do Oba and Roman at Saudi Rumble Saudi Mania. Because remember, at the Rumble, Obafemi, botch, started his main roster PLE in-ring debut. Also, Brock Lesnar, he's more familiar with the cage atmosphere and how you use it or how you tell something inside it. And while he's only been involved in 2 of them, they both were against The Undertaker, and the rest is history. Third ever one, and Obafemi, his first ever one, he be put over as the next big thing. I think what Brock wanted to do with Oba is all that matters versus what we wanted to see happen with Oba against Brock. And I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Now it's up to Oba to carry that ball forward into the future, and hopefully he doesn't fumble.
Yeah, I really think that it's TKO that hopefully they don't fumble Oba. I think Oba's got all the tools. He's got the look. The crowd's behind him. There's really no, but you mentioned slow cooking. To me, TKO slow cooks their storylines in a microwave. And that's not the appropriate method of slow cooking, in my opinion. But
when you answer 50 different Hydras and you're Hercules with not enough sword swinging to freaking defeat it, unlike the damn movie, I'm talking about the original, by the way, the freaking live action one, like most live action Disney movies, effing sucks. It's just one of those things right now. Sorry, not sorry. It's just one of those things right now that when Paul Levesque is not the end game with the pen and paper towards what he wants to see in, let's call it what it is, his WWE, it is what it is. At the end of the day, WWE is not their own entity. WWE is owned by TKO. TKO runs the advertising of the show. Whether or not they rule the stories, no Pat McAfee since WrestleMania. Just saying.
Right, but that's why I said I don't put blame on Triple H for this stuff. I put it all on TKO. That's why I said TKO likes to stretch their things. I know we talked about it last night. But at the end of the day, it had to be Oba, right? Like, there's no way Brock
I don't know why Walter hit Brock. I wanted to almost ask him, did you accidentally click that on the form, bro? Like, seriously? Did you really think WWE was going to F up their next top star? Maybe the next top star they have left? Because Oba and I got nothing as far as that level goes, Gino. Let's be honest here.
I got a few names, but they seemed really hell-bent on upsetting me with those names. So, but we'll talk about that in our next night. So that closes night 1 of SummerSlam, the night that most people were looking forward to. Going into the predictions, we maybe should do things that don't count towards predictions, like which night are you looking forward to the most, blah, blah, which night do you think will deliver the most?
It's a great survey question because, Gino, initially going in, did you have the same impression? Was night 1 the bigger must-see, and did you think night 2 was going to be mid, leftovers?
So I knew WWE was still going to cook with this, but I was more looking forward to night 1 because I didn't see the vision, the revolution. I didn't see the vision of the night 2 that they clearly had cooking. But this is two night events in a row where it seems like night 2 is booked by a completely different group of people. And though night 1 is nothing to scoff at, we had night 2, and from the moment the national anthem played, I had a smile on my face. Darius Rucker crushed that national anthem.
A shout out, though, to young Levesque for doing the America the Beautiful. For those that don't know, that was Cindy McMahon's and Paul Levesque. That was one of their daughters.
On night 1. And you know what? Shame on you. All these freaking people on Facebook, all these things that come up on my feed that I don't even follow when I'm going on to go watch videos about Spider-Man spoiler reviews and this and that. And I see people calling it nepotism. Isn't she 15 years old, folks? Are we really coming after this person for freaking existing? Like,
I mean,
it's the same people.
I don't see people talking about Maggie Sajak and Will Fortune as social media ambassador and maybe taking the Vanna White role. I'm just saying.
Dude, it's just infuriating. Like, you're looking for reasons to have a problem with it. If you think, like, what, did you have a problem with Shane McMahon existing and Stephanie McMahon and Linda McMahon existing? No, that was great stuff. You shouldn't have an issue with these people deciding we're going to pick our daughter, give her a little bit of spotlight. It's not like they had her freaking beat CM Punk for the WWE title. It's the same people that got mad at Naomi for getting pregnant and creating life when she was the champion, because they're precious storylines. I just like, what are we doing? Like, you guys need to, and if you're my friends and you're one of those people that are doing that, I don't hate you. I'm just saying, like, we need to take a look in the mirror. If you were in that position and you had somebody in your family like that, you mean to tell me you wouldn't give them the opportunity to sink or swim in front of the crowd? Come on. All right. So on to night 2, right. Darius Rucker crushed it.
Now we got that out of the way. I mean, Again, who are we to judge anybody in humanity when we're not them? But that being said, here's the Sunday, and Sunday, if I were to sum up in one word, JJ prior to this used the word vortex for several things this weekend. For Sunday particularly, I say the word of the day, not like my Briscoe because I got more teeth than him. The word of the day is moments. And boy, did they start off straight out of the fire. To the point, you're seeing only 5 matches on here because, well, Gino, let's go ahead and remind people what happens when a match changes under any circumstance by adding extra competitors. Because it was not Sami Zayn and Finn Balor. Only.
No, it was not. Now, I would have been interested to see where people's minds were at, even if the match was disqualified. So maybe down the line, if that happens again, we can leave what people thought, but like,
I'll at least give you some outlooks on who picked what in that, or at least give you the percentage. But go ahead and spearhead why you picked either originally it was Finn Balor or Sami Zayn, and then when the others came in, the green on the ticker folks, did that immediately change your prediction if you could have?
So I picked Sami Zayn. But, you know, I noticed something before the show started. They were showing Sami in like the corner of the little practice warm-up ring backstage or whatever. And his eyes weren't bloodshot like Lil Yachty stuff. They weren't like, you know, he wasn't stoned. He looked like he had just got done bawling his eyes out. And I was like, oh no, he might be losing this match, but I picked him to win. And I picked him to win because he has history with both Cody and CM Punk. So regardless of who came out of that match, you know, we saw Randy, you know, we saw what happened. But I thought Sami would be naturally the best fit to challenge whomever comes out of that with the championship because he's got history with both those guys. Not just history, but recent history. Meanwhile, Finn, I could have seen winning. It could have gone either way because, you know, we all know what happened 10 years ago and all that stuff, you know, different regime and stuff. But all these things. But then when they came out and they were about to lock up, the bell was about to ring, and the returning, reinstated GM came out onto the stage.
With no music. The GMs, by the way, folks, still have no music.
Well, remember, they did use a real song for his entrance, and I said last night on your show that I think that's because it's probably cheaper for them to use a song that they know is a good song than to have to hire the people they have to make a song for him that they then use maybe once or whatever. So that's
fair.
but and I don't think anybody would have realized it was Nick Aldis coming out. So you might as well just have him walk out with the microphone. That's fine. I'm fine with that with the GMs. I don't know how they come out in the WWE games because they're both in the games. I don't know if they come out to music there. Dave, maybe you can help me out with that since you just bought WWE 2K26. But he came out and he said, I gotta make right. I gotta call it down the middle. And at first I thought, special guest referee.
Right?
Wrong. And, and I was
Son.
like, who could this be? Who could be the special guest referee here? Like, whatever. And then he's like, we're going to add somebody to the match. It's Gunther. They shook hands. All respect to Nick Aldis. People are saying that makes Nick Aldis look weak and chumpy. No. Obviously, you've never been anybody's boss because you don't understand that you got to be a business is business. And he beat you fair and square. And when somebody beats you fair and square in a competition, you man the F up, you show good sportsmanship, you shake their hand.
As Palovek said, let's get right back to business. And boy, did he.
Yep. And he brought out Gunther. And immediately I'm on the predictions chat. I'm on the no DQ chat. I'm adding Noah. I'm like, because I know you're doing your call along. So I wanted to, I was like, well, this match has to be thrown out. Even if Sammy won, it was. But even if Sammy wins just with Gunther, I was like, that's not fair. Like, and I'm a fair guy. Even if my guy wins, despite them changing it, I still think that would have been unfair. And shout out to all those people.
Well, you and 5 others picked Sami Zayn. To put that in perspective, out of the 20 of you, 14 of us in Team No DQ picked Finn Balor. In fact, majority of everybody picked freaking Finn Balor to win.
And, I recently discovered that I could see these little charts after I put my predictions in. When I saw that, I was shitting bricks. But who did you pick?
I picked Finn Balor because 10 years ago, Finn Balor, he literally won his only WWE Championship when it was debuted on the red strap as the newly christened Universal Championship. But he lost it in 24 hours due to injury. Never had it since. I feared 10 years later, at SummerSlam, he at least gets the chance to get it back. Plus, he and Sami Zayn have a very tumultuous history. If you look all the way back, of course, in bygone eras, the Black and Gold NXT, both former, of course, NXT champions. And Finn Balor, this new beginning since going on SmackDown and finally getting away from Judgment Day. Thank freaking goodness. Jesus, that's a vortex in itself that sucks the life out of you.
Yeah,
and of course,
nothing bad has happened to Finn since he left Judgment Day. I'm sure he's doing just fine, right?
Well, hey, he's being booked, and right now he won a fatal 4-way match to earn the chance to face Sami Zayn, who has a conspiracy theory against him, apparently. Well, that's real good, guy. You take the freaking opportunities when you actually can get them. And bottom line, Finn Balor, like I said, hasn't been the world champion for more than 24 hours his whole damn career. You can say just for Sammy, I was looking for redemption for Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor would have been an interesting guy to go after the championship, considering cause the Fat Night 1. Gee, who we picked to retain? Oh, yeah, that's right. CM Punk, the guy that literally tried to bring back the real Finn Balor Elimination Chamber and did. So they could possibly run that back and maybe see if there's a different result there. Maybe CM Punk pass it off to him. Or we see something further escalate there. Maybe that actually adds to Cody tensions, or maybe you get Cody and Orton. But bottom line, Sammy got his chance to the sun because of one thing. Culture. Remember where we were at. It wasn't in America. It wasn't in Canada. It was in Saudi Arabia. You all were holding out for that till Saudi Mania last year. That ship has set sail, ladies and gentlemen. So as far as I'm concerned, and even said this, no matter what happens next, I could say I was the undisputed WWE champion. Good. Now let's move on. Find somebody that can hold it for longevity. It wasn't going to be you. The fact that CM Punk came in out of nowhere and friggin' stole the opportunity, it doesn't surprise me in the friggin' slightest. So I'm over it. I'm over the CM Punk. I'm over the Cody Rhodes. Let's see Finn Balor, what he can do back in the Black Gold NXT. Let's see if Finn Balor finally gets something back for all his work ethic on his own, finally. So that's why I was holding out for Finn Balor. And apparently, a lot of people agreed. But we all got fucked.
And I get that for sure. And Finn came out looking like a friggin' chiseled racehorse.
He always does.
I've never.
That dude doesn't hold fat.
But his friggin' hamstrings looked like a racehorse. I was like, that's not even normal. That's like freakish. Like when he's doing his thing, he's just like looking at the back of his. I was like, that was insane. Like
that's Finn Balor. That's Prince Devitt.
Crazy good. He does that.
Yes.
But okay, Nick Aldis didn't leave the stage after Gunther walked down to the ring. He never said it's only one person adding, even though the terminology, he did say I'm adding a man to the match. whatever. And it led to, and they did this perfectly, because having Gunther come out, like, people were like getting kind of excited that it could have maybe been Kevin Owens. I was thinking maybe it's Kevin, maybe it's Randy, whatever. But so
I had no idea.
Gunther. And then they realized there's going to be a fourth. And then the crowd started to swell. And it was a good crowd last night, by the way. Shout out to Minnesota there. Kevin Owens music hit. And the four of us watching at my buddy's house, we do watch parties. We all stood up, lost our shit, screaming, clapping, cheering, because he had been seen a little bit. He's doing stuff with helping train some people and whatever. And he was on that social media post with Becky congratulating Sami Zayn. But I mentioned Sami looked like he was crying before, like when they showed his eyes, like they were puffy red. And I was like, that's why he was crying, because his boy, his homie, his best friend of 25 years he must have found that out a little bit before the show, obviously, because it's not a complete surprise to them always. But Sami sold that like $1 million. He was like, until like
he was like that after the bell. And for those that don't know, Kevin Owens has been out for the last 17 months due to, have you heard this before? A double fusion neck surgery. And the last time that we saw Kevin Owens in the ring, it was an unsanctioned match against his best friend, Sami Zayn, up in Canada, where they were building towards KO versus Orton. A match that both Orton and KO were hoping for back at WrestleMania 41. And the fact of the matter that KO even said he wasn't unsure if he was even going to do this again. Countless conversations with the likes of Big E, but encouraged by the likes of one Rebel Tanea. We all know her, of course, as Rebel, the Rebel Heart, who is currently fighting a championship battle against ALS, that is a terminal disease. Please show your love and support for her today. Go follow her story at AEW. It's actually uploaded on AEW's YouTube channel. I will admit, I cried. And go order a brace of the day and order a shirt. Yes, I have emotions, believe it or not, folks. And stay tuned when we cover also Rebel Heart edition of AEW, courtesy of the Simple Studios, in conjunction with encouraging you to support research for ALS. Much love to you, Rebel. But the fact of the matter that, again, never say never. This business that people hold so near and dear, why fans take it for granted. Calling everybody out, even us at times. We're even guilty of it, Gino. Bryan Danielson, Adam Copeland, Chris Statlander, Bailey. I'm talking about not just neck injuries. I'm talking about leg injuries, torn ACLs, torn MS, you name it. Add Kevin Owens to that conversation. Hearing that pop, losing myself, Eminem reference for you, and seeing the man take it in. I didn't even hear the music. Thank goodness he still has his Seafoss soundtrack, by the way. Again, fuck that Rebel. And just seeing his face go into that mode, shades of War Games 2019 NXT TakeOver, you know, the good NXT. My NXT! And seeing that raw emotion come out of him, he screams down and walks out of the ring. That was, again, Sunday was the night of moments. Not all of them great. But this one was probably my favorite moment of the night. I couldn't be happier to see and hear Kevin Owens' theme and Kevin Owens charge down to that ring to fight everybody. Fight Owens, fight is back. Welcome to the KO show. And sometimes you honestly don't get mad seeing the unpredictable or seeing your predictions fly out the window. I could have cared less about this match that I thought was nothing more but a SmackDown credit or an exhibition to try and tick the night. And then Kevin Owens returned. The rest is history. So happy for Kevin Owens. I'm so damn glad he's got his new leash back on life and what he loves. I just hope he's careful, but I know that Kevin Owens is going to go Kevin Steen on this shit. He's not going to give a fuck.
And that's what he said on the
Kevin
post
Owens
show.
and Sami Zayn define each other's careers. They literally fought forever. PWG, ROH, El Generico, Kevin Steen. They define an era of my black and gold NXT. Kevin Owens got his first championship in WWE after Sami Zayn got his first championship. Got the NXT championship via ref stoppage. Finn Balor took the NXT championship from Kevin Owens. So the history is there. And Gunther, he's never faced Kevin Owens.
So I wanted to address three things. Number one, I call baloney. You might be looking back on it now saying that was your favorite moment of the night, but you JJ, and all of your audience know that's not true.
Up to the point. Let me finish, Gino. Okay, I said up to this point.
Okay.
The word of the night was moments. This was the first moment. I said not all the moments were great. A moment surpassed all the others, and I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. But this being the first moment of what was, again, the better night. I can't believe I just said that, but damn it, it's a fact. I freaking loved it. But as far as predictions go, again, Finn Balor hasn't had a title for 10 years. Sammy had his chance. He's got the character. Let him continue following conspiracy more than Jesse Ventura. Let him fall further and further into insanity. Doesn't need to challenge CM Punk again immediately. So I went with Finn Balor. But as soon as I was like, okay, game over. Kevin Owens winning.
Yeah.
And I was right.
And that was going to be a question I was going to ask you. Did you maybe think that? But I thought since Gunther had won that he probably wasn't going to win this one. He's inserted. He didn't even do a chop in the Nick Aldis match, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. Then he chopped Finn right in the freaking neck. But
he did one chop. He did do one chop. I remember he did do one chop. But the bottom line,
I must have missed that one then.
Well, again, this is why I'm the play-by-play guy of the
Studios. But then the second point I wanted to make is if anybody should be mad about this match getting thrown out, it should be me, because Sammy was going to win and I was going to get a point on you.
You don't know that. Buffer.
I do know that. The Rock called me yesterday and said it was going to be Sammy, but I'm sorry. We had to put KO over. Either way. And the third point of that is, how could you not enjoy? I had a smile on my face from ear to freaking ear. This is friggin', we got 2 of the 3 people that we've been wanting to coming back this weekend, like surprise returns. And this night was shaping up. If they started the night with that, this night was shaping up to be something special.
Oh, yeah.
And there were some things that I think maybe was the worst match of the entire weekend, but we will get to that. So what was next? What did count towards the predictions next, Noah?
Well, ironically enough, you bring that up. We go from an incredible return to Kevin Owens stunning the world and stunning his best friend, pinning Sami Zayn becoming the new Dark Contender for the WWE Championship against CM Punk, to the United States Championship, where Trick Williams got fucking whooped.
Okay.
What the flying fuck?
So this is again the theme that I've mentioned that I feel for this entire weekend was this could have gone either way. Don't let the 3 out of 20 fool you. This could have gone either way because
it shouldn't have.
Well, Trick Williams just got his brand new title belt. I don't think he's had a title defense since he's had that belt. And I think
I won at Ricky Saints, I believe.
Okay, and so why do we have this title belt if you're not going to hold on to it for a little bit longer? But I also said last night to you guys, and I'll say it here again, when you pay for somebody to come back to your company that you want to be a heel, a mid-card heel, some people thought they were just bringing him back to feed him to Trick. Makes sense. No argument with that.
Yeah,
no argument with that.
Trick's the guy. He has it. Baron Corbin is a freaking dumpster fire. He drives ratings down. No one wanted to see that shit. Freaking underwhelming moment of the weekend. Remember I said about moments? This was one of the lamest moments. I don't give a crap about this. He just certified that championship as well. He styled it. He personalized it. And you're telling me, okay, WWE, we sold enough of them. We're going to make more of them on WWE.com. He doesn't need this title. And yeah, maybe he doesn't need it. Maybe he's bigger than the championship, but give me an effing break. Baron Corbin, really?
But I think that's exactly what WWE wants. Remember, this is professional wrestling, damn it, at the end of the day. And now, if you didn't hate Baron Corbin going into that match for whatever reason, you sure as shit hate him now. And that's what
I'm just interested, okay? That's a whole different form of
like this. We don't get heels like this anymore in professional wrestling. So now we have somebody that's universally hated, will not get a single cheer. Gunther got cheers when he came out for the second match.
Is it heel or go away heat?
I at this point in 2026 professional wrestling, especially in WWE, go away heat is better than sitting on your hands scrolling through TikTok while you're at the live event. So
fair enough.
So now we've got heat on a bad guy, and I think this could mean that Trick could be elevated. Eventually, he's got to lose the title. Probably should have been to Carmelo, but he's got to lose it to jump up that card, and might as well take advantage and show that you're invested in somebody that you brought back, and not just have him be brought back to job, because as a business, like you said last night, it's a business. That's not really good business sense to pay for somebody to come back just to lose. They could have had anybody that they're already currently paying to lose to him here. And I don't know why, we had to have Yachty involved and all that stuff again with the little bump and stuff like that.
This whole thing was underwhelming. This match didn't even get out of freaking half gear. I was like, what the hell am I watching? Of all the people that you could have put in this, Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, hell, run it back with a freaking apoplectic Ricky Saints and turn it into a Minnesota street fight because you love doing that freaking trope. Baron Corbin, and practically did nothing. Soft bumping a freaking guy fitter than a toothpick, barely through a Slim Jim table, and then catching the champion off guard into the end of days.
And when I saw the end of days hit, I was like, there's no way they're going to unprotect that move on his first attempt.
It has been kicked out once, though. I will tell you that. It has been kicked out once. It was back at WrestleMania 38. I will tell you that.
When he was on his way out of the company to somebody like Drew McIntyre, sure. But they want to protect his finisher again, because that's one of the big things about Corbin. Is, besides that one time, he's got the most protected finisher in all of wrestling. Cody Rhodes, freaking take notes. But at the end of the day, if this leads to Trick moving on to bigger and better things, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Well, again, I don't trust WWE in long-term
it
execution with most of their talent. And again, Baron Corbin, first title he won in WWE in a bygone life was the United States Championship. So how fitting in the second coming, he wins that very title back. And Trick Williams, of course, going the John Cena route, his first title on the main roster was the United States Championship as well. So maybe that does speak volumes. We'll see what sort of opportunity this actually leads to both men. But I'm not holding my breath. This is the Fed. And again, I hold the Fed in a whole different regard amongst many things, especially the few on two hands I care about across that entire corporation, if you want to call it that.
And nobody has been higher on Trick Williams than I have. I said pre-WrestleMania, I want him to leave SummerSlam with either the WWE or the world title, whatever one Oba wasn't leaving with. Obviously, it could have gone all that way, but WWE had other plans, or rather TKO had other plans.
Yeah, someone did.
At the end of the day, looking back on it, I should have seen the writing on the wall. And I'm kicking myself for having not picked Baron, because I did think there was a chance. Aaron didn't even want to really do too much of a bet on this match because he thought there was a chance.
This is the moment where AaronRift officially started collapsing, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. But it worked. The match wasn't what it was. I think it was the worst match of the weekend. So if somebody tries to tell me this was the best match of the weekend, this is the one, like I said earlier.
I think a drunk person wouldn't even say that this match qualified for 1 star.
And at the end of the day, it was more just getting heat on Baron Corbin. He looked weird holding that friggin' furry title as he walked out. But we'll see where we go from here. Hopefully Trick goes up the card. But enough about the worst match of the weekend. This was the start of Aaron's downfall, and that brought us to the interim. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to that word, because we all were complaining about it. Why don't they just make it the real WWE Women's Championship? An interim might as well be Spanish for Michael Hayes, because we had the WWE Women's Championship ladder match, and 16 out of 20. That can't be right. That's not right. 3 or 4 out of 20 got this one right.
Yeah, about to say, look at the key name that was the winner, but look at the overall name that was the most picked. But with that being said, everybody was picked at least once, so at least there was some credit to everybody, despite the fact that, again, Jade, no. Charlotte Flair, most ladder experience, never won a ladder match, believe it or not, was going into her, TLC. I don't think it was a ladder match, but I don't remember. In 2015, someone fact checked that. I don't think it was a ladder match. But anyway, she's been involved, I think, now in 7 ladder matches, been on the butt end of Money in the Bank, Women's Money in the Bank, more times than I can remember, by the way, lest you forget. A couple of those I'm like, why did this happen? And then, of course, Tiffany Stratton, she made Tippy Time arrive 2 years ago in the ladder match at Money in the Bank at the expense of her friend, Chelsea Green. And last legend, it was her first main roster ladder match, but she was also involved in the NXT North American ladder match at Battleground, I think, a year ago. So, and again, talk about ladder matches, leave impressions or leave with scars. I'm pretty sure they all left with everything. Tiffany Stratton from the Minnesota area coming out as your Women's United States Champion. I didn't see Tippy two belts happening. I'm kind of tired of the whole idea of blank two belts. Let's not do that anymore in the wrestling business. Just saying, especially with mid-card and world. Let's not try and bring that out into existence again. Kind of over it. And again, who gives a fuck though? Like I said, this match was of two forms: your heart or your mind. And the heart fucking won! Yes! Yes! Fucking yes! Chelsea Green! Yes! The rightful one won! Yes! Okay, Gino, go ahead. You can talk further. I'm sorry.
What a shot. I hate WWE. I hate WWE because they should have put a sixth person in this match, so I could have at least gotten 1 point for Chelsea winning. But at the end of the day, it was only a 1 point swing, regardless of how you look at it. It was either Charlotte or it was Chelsea. And this could have gone either way. Again, that's kind of my theme for this whole weekend. But as I said to you guys last night, looking back on it, every decision made sense, even though people are going to act like it doesn't. Interim was really the word that everybody was harping on. Why not just take the title off of Rhea? We're going to lead to Charlotte versus Rhea anyway. If Charlotte wins,
the biggest money match they could book. I mean, I'm just saying, and there's no lies in that. You know, again, if it wasn't for WrestleMania 39, I still argue, would Rhea be the superstar she is today if she lost that match? I don't think so.
And that's why wins and losses sometimes do matter in professional wrestling. But going into this, we should have known better, because people were then arguing, is Charlotte's championship record going to go up by one if she wins the interim? I picked Charlotte because I went with I worked myself into a shoot, to use the Carney speak, because
was it because of what I said on Tuesday as well? Because I think I was one of the first ones that even said you want the best for business match. You put the two top queens in WWE.
Right, but I also said to you guys in the chat on that whoever wins the title, Rhea's obviously not coming back. I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. So
I have no idea what's wrong with her. I hope that she's okay, sincerely.
Right. Now, I could eat my own words and she could come back on Friday and pin Chelsea in 30-second squash match.
Don't do that.
Hashtag give divas a chance. But the writing was on the walls. It was right in front of us. The interim title is probably the only reason that Michael Hayes could okay this finish. And WWE Unreal existing, I worked myself into a shoot. Chelsea friggin' deserves it. I told AaronRift, I said somebody should shave their head if Chelsea wins, and he decided to one-up it and say he's going to bring back his alter ego, a.k.a. Volda Rift, and to the No DQ Review 400, which I'm glad he's going to, but I blame myself. And he even said on his recap last night, Gino, shame on you. And he's not going to bring him back in the first hour when Virtue's moderating. He's going to do it on the second hour when I'm moderating.
At least he didn't blame me. I just predict what I believe in, all right? I just predict what I believe in.
Yeah. And again, this was the right decision. Nobody else needed it. And I don't think, and people were saying Lash, again, it could have gone Lash. I just don't think she's ready. Trick's got his title off of him. I think they're going on their honeymoon because they just got married, but Trick was already the champion. That's a fair point, actually. So that's probably what's going into that. This is the things with predictions that I really wish I thought more about going into the match, because Trick's probably going on his honeymoon now. We're probably not going to see Trick for a little while. Just a guess there. But Chelsea deserves it. Pledge your allegiance, even though I did this because this is when you play. This is how you pledge your allegiance.
I get that, anyway. But salute the hot mess, and hot mess I trust. My face of America. This is We the People, which, boy, I think that gimmick would go so hard in 2026 WWE if they brought back Jack Swagger and Jeff Coulter and did We the People. But I digress. Chelsea, hats off to her. The Cardona family is public enemy number one for the No DQ review. But at the end of the day, the right woman won. She's hanging on the ladder, and the other two girls climbed up, and I'm like, oh my God, Chelsea's winning this, because I was like, they're therefore gonna fall off, and then the crowd woke Chelsea up. They're like, come on, Chelsea, and then her eyes opened. I literally felt like I was there screaming in Chelsea Green's ear as soon as Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair took each other off that ladder. I was like, it could happen. It could fucking happen. And again, for those that don't know, yes, I did pick Charlotte Flair on No DQ. But I have my own forms to be predicting, and that's where my predictions truly come into almost official. And I will say it again until the proverbial saying goes that the cows come home. You could say with your mind, best for business. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, run it back. But damn it, Chelsea Green, the hardest working, most entertaining, straight, always for business player. Fuck that out of touch generational flop geezer. Was over freaking due to earn what she deserved versus what the fans think you deserve it. No, she fucking earned it. This was for Chelsea Green, and no one else deserved it more. I just fucking wish Canada would get their shit together so she could celebrate with her fans live, but it is what it is. With every blessing, there's trial and tribulation. That's not an insult, that's just a fact of life, but I couldn't be happier for Chelsea Green to finally call herself in some form a fucking women's champion. Yeah, and her and Tiffany now are both champions. And the poetic karma of Chelsea Green subtly pushing Tiffany Stratton off the ladder, telling her kudos as Tiffany went for broke, went for the friggin' swanton bomb, forward moonsault into the rest of the field, was a nice little touching callback to when Chelsea Green lost it in Canada 2 years ago. Just very happy for Chelsea Green. That's all I gotta say.
Now, mark my words. In WWE Unreal Season 5, I bet Michael Hayes tries to spin this as his decision. Just keep that nugget in the back. Keep that nugget in the back of your mind, folks.
You know I don't watch that shit, right? But I will be so glad to hear you actually tell me that that's the case. And someone timestamp that. Again, fuck that idiot. And Chelsea Green, damn it, right decision, smartest decision, and my moment of the weekend.
Yeah, that was just fantastic. And again, okay, so we had this match, which was one of the ones that people really didn't seem to care about. This is why the people were going into night 1 and night 2 thinking that night 1 had the better card, regardless of the build, because we know how bad the build works to all of this.
Well, night 1 was all stars. Night 2 was a night of expectations from the extras and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Let's just call it what it is. And the extras told night 1, shut the F up, including a return and countless awesome moments. And other moments you're like, why did this happen? Regardless, night 2 was more the talking point than night 1. Period.
And at the end of the day, I am a hard defender on that. WWE will, more times than not, regardless of the build-up and the hype to going into the stuff, which is on them because that's essentially it's marketing and promotion that they're failing at.
Damn it, all the marketing in the world, damn it.
But you're making stars. You're making a star out of Chelsea. You're doing things like this was so entertaining.
You fired her like 2 or 3 damn times in this company, and she's been 13 years traveling across the world, freaking becoming undeniable to the WWE universe. Gee, where have I heard that word before? Anyway, continue.
So, the first time we saw Chelsea Green on WWE television, she was the one who had an affair with Daniel Bryan. And now Bree's unfortunately hurt, and Chelsea is on top of the world with the championship, literally. And everybody's saying, "Oh, I don't like this coming so close to Money in the Bank or whatever." Listen, Chelsea clearly doesn't have the full support of the people backstage. A ladder match, you can win just by climbing the ladder and taking the thing. So she didn't pin anybody. I don't think she hit an unpretty her on anybody.
No, she didn't at all. She didn't even hit an unprettier off the ladder, and I was expecting this hot mess to do something extremely reckless.
Yep, and you had said that all these women probably left with everything, welts, bruises, and whatever.
But only left with the most welts because Last Legend bashed her into a freaking ladder left and right.
Right, but so you said everybody was getting welts and left with everything,
no doubt.
But only one person left with the championship, and that is Chelsea Green.
That's to let the face of America. And the face of
Congratulations
SmackDown.
to Chelsea.
Congrats, Chelsea.
Now, what was the next match?
Yes, back to our regularly scheduled programming. And again, Tiffany, you are crazy. Okay, now I'm pretty sure I said this last night. From one end of the spectrum to the other.
You know, I think that's very offensive that you're mentioning a spectrum going into this next match, but okay, whatever.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, it's a whole different perspective, and I do think there's a spectrum of booking when it comes to Dan Hagen versus Chelsea Green. Each one of them are their own form of entertainment. But here's also another thing. One I absolutely love. The other one I don't even know if I would love if I was drinking.
And when I said going into this,
they're on their own though. But go ahead, Gino.
Right. I said going into this review to this predictions league breakdown video that if you could argue every match except for the Trick Williams match that was their favorite match of the weekend, and I wouldn't hate you for it. I told you last night. Casuals, my brothers, and things like that, they love Danhausen, and this was a fun match. We didn't need the mystery box. If they did the mystery box like they did at Backlash, I would have hated it. But they just have
the mini Saturday night's main event. What are you talking about? That thing's already been overkilled.
Right, but that is what I don't really. I mean, the putting a cat in and then having Cathausen, I'm fine with that. But we all were expecting Joe Hendry, CM Punk, whatever, and it was just the mini Housens coming, whatever. But the mini Housens worked here. Shout out to Brad Williams, who was one of the mini Housens. Shout out to El Torito Hausen, who was one of the mini Housens, the only one with the red on the side.
I figured El Torito was the one that did the Rana, but why would you bring up Joe Hendry's name? I mean, yes, Joe Hendry was the 10th of it.
That startled me. Holy cow, no.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Damn it.
And I actually got to meet Joe Hendry at the TNA taping before he came to WWE. I asked him to somebody can super chat to hear that story of me meeting Joe Hendry at NXT if they want to hear that. Because I got stories. Like Mustafa Ali said on CVV, I got stories. But this match was exactly what it needed to be.
It was.
There was a super high of Chelsea Green winning. And this one, you could call it a cool down match. You could call it a bathroom break match. But it was entertaining. You had mini Housens. You had JD McDonough. You had the Judgment Day kind of coming out here. But Dominic wasn't going to win this match. They're not going to have Danhausen lose.
No.
And this was a way for Dominic not to have to get pinned and still lose this match because he's going into AAA Mania and he needs to look strong. This doesn't weaken Dominic at all, at least not any more than WWE's booking has done for him over the last year and a half. That has weakened him. But I mean, we don't need to talk so much about this. It was fun. It was what it was. Human money's on a pole. People want to insult that the match even needed to happen or existing or didn't need to be on SummerSlam. To each their own with that. WWE could have completely canceled this match and just had him come out with the Cannonhausen and shout. They could have sold this merch without him being there. But
they could have just brought the ice cream truck in. He could have just been selling ice cream bars during the break while Joe Hendry actually has a concert, and then they could have them attached here and build this match to Monday Night Raw because there is that statement we talk about again, what you put on the card versus what's television or what doesn't need to be on the card. This, the way it was booked, could have really gone either way. Why people are chastising that segment. Have you built a fair few questions the top 8 worst segments of all time on Monday Night Raw? That didn't even clear the top 20, folks. Again, I've been a fan since 1992. I've seen some horrible shit. I think AaronRift even named some horrible shit. And why 12 people went with Charlotte Flair versus Chelsea Green, again, fucking yes. It almost was pretty much unanimous when it came to Danhausen because at the end of the day, Danhausen is everything WWE wants in their entertainment. It's literally the definition of entertainment. He is the marketing entertainment conglomerate. This guy may not sell more merch than some of the top superstars, but probably got more merch type options than most superstars in WWE.
So, yeah, I mean, like, Danhausen, people got him. Sorry, I'm just reading Dave's super chat here. Dave, that actually wasn't the story I was going to tell. Obviously, we were at CVV, the live interview, but we didn't really get to talk to him. This is when I've spoken to him at a TNA taping, but I don't need
maybe we'll save that for the next Visually Breakdown or Major Push Wrestling. Again, folks, stay tuned for the return of Major Push Wrestling, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday night. Time to change as always. Anyway, continue, Gino.
So, yeah, I mean, the match was what it was. It served its purpose, 17 out of 20. I mean,
Danhausen continues to be virtually undefeated, by the way. Just bringing that stat up. He hasn't
literally
lost
undefeated.
Yet.
Literally
he hasn't
undefeated.
Lost yet.
Yeah. And, you know, for all the crap we want to give WWE about not pushing their young stars and not pressing on when somebody is hot, they are pressing when Danhausen's hot. And people are still having a problem with it. People want to complain.
Danhausen's not young, though. I will say that. Danhausen actually is 35 years of age, been involved in this business for 13 years, but continue.
I would argue that in WWE, 35 is young. But, you know, based on their main event.
That might be fair, actually.
So enough about that match. You know, we've talked longer about it than I think the match went, and I'm not somebody that complains about match time.
No, but I think you're also right. Again, this was like, really? Moving on. Now it's back to actual professional wrestling. You want to talk about something that was long overdue and something that was the definition of needed to happen. Thank you. Chad Gable.
Yep. And as I said earlier when we were talking about night one, the way they designed this card on both nights was very well done. If you're going to have a cool down bathroom break match, you put it in the middle of the show. You have your two matches that people came to your show to see that night because it's two nights. So they came to this night to see Chad Gable and Penta, which we all thought could be a show-stealing match of the weekend. And they wanted to see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And those two matches went on last. You know how you get crowds to, you know how you cool down a crowd? You do a little video package, you throw a few commercials, you do that in between the matches, and it gives them time to go to the bathroom, to catch their breath. Because if you've ever been to a live show, you know your voice is going to go quicker than you might think. You might think, oh, I can scream at the top of my lungs from start to finish. You really can't. Nope. And this match right here, it wasn't as good of a match as I wanted it to be. I'll admit that. But it served its purpose. Don't get me started on the friggin' mug root beer mascot guy.
Let's not worry about the stupid, over-glorified advertising. Let's focus on the two men at hand, because to your point, you look at Penta, you look at Chad Gable, they've shaped each other. What started with a hatred towards luchadors and lucha libre ended up going on an excursion, rediscovering himself, emulating with the culture, adapting to it, literally becoming the visceral existence of it, then finding a hero in becoming of it, while becoming humble and once again finding himself as Chad Gable. I was actually listening to the freaking Spanish interview prior to this match, because again, work, you got time to do that, with the woman that he basically bullied and got fired from AAA for Rey Mysterio reinstated her, and basically he buried the hatchet. Very humble, Chad Gable. Now that Hohora sees who Chad Gable actually is, the family man, the hard-working man, a man that respects lucha libre, the art and the sacredness of the mask, and of course, well, El Grande Americano really meant that he lost himself, but sometimes in the business, you got to get dirty before you wipe yourself completely clean once again. I think Chad Gable's done that since he returned. Winning that gauntlet match, now going after this championship, in my opinion, the championship that I always thought he was destined first for, because he is that damn good of a worker. Sure, I've already had it. I'm just finally glad that he finally got it. And also another little bit of a stat bit. How often does the home guy in the Fed actually get a massive win? And Chad Gable, that was a win as big as the Minnesota Vikings, maybe going up to the freaking Super Bowl. Whether or not that ever happens again, who knows? Skull. But nonetheless, it had to be Chad Gable's time. Penta's had this title now for the better part of all of 2026, and he's done everything with it, from defending against Cesaro, defending against Javon Evans, outlasting a ladder match, and the intensity that Penta brings helped Chad Gable in this so much. Now, again, I did not say one iota this weekend. That's professional wrestling, damn it. None of the matches hit me, but in WWE, it's more about the moments. Like I said, Sunday was the night of expectations. The word of the night with Sunday is moments. That was Chad Gable's moment. And if he didn't get it there, I honestly thought he would never get it. I'm like, why are you wasting him when he worked so damn hard? Oh, yeah, that's right, Paul Levesque. Work harder. Work harder. You know, you really should look at yourself in the mirror when you say that, and you wonder who actually works hard versus actually just getting worked hard. That being said, Chad Gable worked with one arm and finally got it done, and Penta christening him was icing on the cake in front of his family and his parents. Couldn't be happier for Minnesota's own Chad Gable. He was ready, willing, and Gable. For those that remember the American Alpha campaign, I still wish him and JC Jordan could have actually fucking won the actual tag team championships on the main roster. Damn it. But extremely happy for Chad Gable. It was finally his time.
Yeah, I mean, and this was unanimous from everybody here on the screen.
Yeah,
it was
clearly
unanimous, and as was the next match. And we talk about predictability in wrestling. A lot of people say, well, it's predictable, it's not good. No, these were the two matches people wanted to see, and everybody knew what the outcome was going to be.
And we knew they were predictable, but how many times was I say it? Predictability in wrestling isn't a bad thing.
Right.
Damn it.
100%. But, you know, you're not seeing all the scuttlebutt of hatred online for predictability, which is ridiculous because, you know,
I love that. I don't use social media like that.
We're not children. We're not watching WWE for the first time, we're not 3 years into our watching WWE or professional wrestling live.
Damn it.
Like we were when we were kids. Everything felt unpredictable when we were kids because we weren't smart to the business. Now we're smart to the business, so it being predictable is our own fault for being, you know, we were working ourselves into a shoot. This match was what it needed to do. It didn't overstay its welcome. It got in and got out, and they get left time for that little celebration. My name is Chad Gable, and my name is PapaGino, and I'm very happy for Chad Gable. And his promos will start with "My name is Chad Gable." Moving forward, mark my words. But
I could see that. And again, like you said, the match did what it needed to do within the time span. They went a little bit over 11 minutes versus the main event that went over half an hour. But again, how well do you tell the end of a story? How deep do you tell it? This one's all you, man. Because again, I don't think we need to talk about the prediction because everyone, including their mother, pretty much said Roman Reigns except for one brave soldier. And unfortunately for that person, sorry.
And again, I could see the merit. The Chad Gable match, the only one I thought was a lock for sure. I could see the merit behind a Seth Rollins winning, even though it would make no sense. Roman had to put it past him and say what you want about, the lack of count out, which I've been outspoken about already. The lack of, disqualification from Seth when he hit him with the friggin' rope stand or whatever it was when they're outside. I guess when you're outside the barrier, there are no rules. You don't have to follow. You don't have to play by the rules. But this match, to me, was everything I like in professional wrestling. The storytelling in the ring, in my opinion, the even more important stuff than the moves was what happened in between the moves. And Roman is so good at talking to the opponent or talking to the camera or like talking to himself and making you feel that, and you really bring the crowd in to the point where at the end of the day, it had to be Roman. He should not be dropping this title to anybody but Oba. He had to put Seth behind him. I called it. He had the chair. I'm like, watch, he's going to throw it out of the ring. He doesn't need it. He's wiping his hands clean of that. And then, they did their finish, and it was a great match. False finishes. This is one where I don't feel the egregiousness of not protecting your finish because it was so good, like I do with, say, a Cody Rhodes or other people. But great match, in my opinion. I loved it. This, to me, was professional wrestling with storytelling, entertainment value, the actual in-ring work, the length of the match, and they had everything it needed to do, culminated by the Shield fist at the end. Beautiful storytelling, wrapping this story up with a bow. And I am so happy for them because you believe they hate each other. But guys, you got to respect, like Nick Aldis shaking Gunther's hand. You respect somebody who beats you straight up. Fair is fair, good sports. And at the end of the day, they're all coworkers trying to put on the best match that they can. And I look back at Edge versus Matt Hardy when Lita had cheated on Matt with Edge. If those two guys can be professionals and work together without intentionally hurting each other, everybody should be able to be professional when you're at this level. That's why they call it professional wrestling. And this, to me, was professional wrestling. Might not have been to Noah, but I'm not going to poo-poo on Noah's thoughts because it's all subjective. It's art. What hits you differently might hit me differently, might hit Samoa Joe differently. I don't know. I'm sorry, Joe Schmo. Did I say Samoa Joe? Botch. Okay.
I'm about to get a little hot there, Gino.
But at the end of the day, this was fantastic. And this reminded me of The Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 17. The false finishes could have gone either way, even though you kind of knew who was going to win. And it was just fantastic. And you ended your show with the two matches the people wanted to see on that night. And that's how you freaking build a wrestling card, baby. Let's go.
Where's the problem, though? People actually did enter the building super late at night just for those two matches off camera. But nonetheless, I definitely respect the passion, the outlook. And like I said, the Shield, the story, the statistics goes all the way back to 2012. And then, of course, you had the proverbial knife in the back that broke the Shield up, going all the way back after the match against Evolution at Payback in 2014. The rest is history with the three men, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley. During the short stint they were still there, we saw moments, of course, where Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, they did come back together. I, of course, witnessed the Shield's last match as a trio together. back at Fastlane 2019. Highly underwhelming show. And of course, we've seen Roman Reigns and Seth freaking Rollins shape their own molds, but also shape each other into their own mold. The key thing here was who was in the utter shadow more, the top superstar or the guy that always outweighed him. And the one key thing about this business at the forefront, and that's professional wrestling. One got injured usually. The other one is dealing with leukemia eternally. He's in remission. Seth Rollins has broken his body for this business. Roman Reigns has reinvented himself for entertainment. And the fact of the matter is right now, Roman Reigns is the superstar on their level, but these who have pioneered WWE for the last 14 damn years. There had to be closure at some point, though, considering what was teased at WrestleMania with the future and Roman Reigns. Much like we talk about The Rock and Brock. Much like you bring up The Rock and Stone Cold, I look at the third match of WrestleMania 19 to the point that The Rock had to beat Stone Cold. He had to do it the right way, and he did, and it took multiple rock bombs to do it, but that freaking idiot got that bald-headed bastard. I'm speaking at Nas and what they called each other. I felt a lot of the same thing here from Seth bringing a clean white shield vest, talking about, once again, instigating Roman Reigns on the past, on that proverbial shadow that still haunts Roman to this day. And every chance Roman could get with that chair, you thought he would take. Many a times he tried to take it, it bit him in the ass. But Roman said he needed to do this, and more importantly, he needed to do it the right way. That is great storytelling and bringing a finale to a saga. The Shield was a saga. And why Dean Ambrose wasn't there physically, he was there spiritually. These three brothers have ruled the business their own way for the better part of damn near 15 years. And while one is literally leading forward the freaking alternative professional wrestling company right now on the planet, the other one right now, one is leading it in the form of entertainment. The other one, I don't know what's next for him. And maybe this villain finally got the closure he needed. Maybe he finally got put out of his misery. Does Seth Rollins need to face Roman Reigns again? No. Is the Shield finally through? Yes, but it lives on forever, much like WWE's banner, then, now, forever. But Roman had to win this here, because right now, you're not going to have Roman Reigns lose the World Heavyweight Championship when he is the biggest star in WWE with what he's trying to make the biggest title in this business. And Oba is looming. Mark my words, we're getting Oba versus Roman sooner rather than later.
And I hope
thank you,
so.
Seth.
You know, there's so much speculation I can go out of this, but I just want to talk about the other storyline in this match that I don't really see anybody else but me talking about, but I'm not seeing it. I don't see everything. I'm not omniscient. I don't see everything.
Of course not. No one does.
The other story that arguably is almost just as important, if not more important. The biggest problem with Roman Reigns' title run, the long 1,000+ day run, is that he was cheating to win. This time, he is winning fairly, except for a few bending of the rules, countouts, and a disqualification with the stairs at WrestleMania. Notwithstanding, he is doing it the right way. No interference, no bloodline coming in, no Zilla Fatu, none of that. He is doing it legit and proving to, if not the fans, to WWE itself, you don't need all the shenanigans, over-the-top nonsense. Get two guys that know what they're doing with good booking and let them go at each other and tell a story in the ring. And that was magical.
I will say it here. It didn't draw out the ultimate passion in me as a personal wrestling fan, but with the humbleness in finishing a story, like Cody talked about his WrestleMania 40, these two finished a saga. That's bigger than a story. I felt I literally witnessed from start to end the Shield as I know it. So that is professional wrestling, damn it. I give Roman and Seth all the credit.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that post-match. But that being said, that was SummerSlam, Gino. And of course, coming up shortly here on Monday Night Raw. And yes, we do have an interview coming up with the former Joe Gacy, of course, Joseph Sawyer. Stay tuned for that unowned Ego Pandy across the outlets here in the Bubba Studios, both on the X, Net Rage of Wrestling here on YouTube. Of course, Monday Night Raw is coming up. The only thing on tap right now, what is next for our Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? Will he acknowledge that Seth Rollins, you were great, but I was better, but I appreciate what you did. Now we both can just move forward. And what else is to come? Stay tuned. But without further ado, that is SummerSlam. Let's go ahead and bring forward the scores and the leaderboards before we bid everybody a fine adieu. With that being said, Gino, you're working way up there, but I still reign supreme over all of you. Steve-O is now in second place at 49 points. Why our fearless Bella, Caitlin, and Mr. Riff actually are tied for 47, but due to better trends by one Caitlin, she surpasses her husband, as most women surpass their men. And that goes for, of course, Mrs. Gino here very soon, I feel like, because behind every man, there's a better woman. Again, congratulations to you both. Salud. And again, it's still very close. 1 point gaps all the way down the line. And Gino, you are still very much within this league, as of course we still have, I think, at least 4 more PLEs.
Yeah, I gained on Dwayne, Aaron, and Caitlin. So that is good for me. And we all know that that's what this is all about. Me. So, you know,
it's all about Gino, but it's also about the galaxy. And speaking of which, Jossie now sitting in first place at 49 points.
Good job, Joshy.
My Chaz Rods and Mr. Adrian Hennigan are tied at 48. My friend Ashley right behind them at 46. Again,
she was leading last.
She was leading,
event, right?
Yes. But that's the difference. One show can make. So don't rule yourself out, folks. And at the end of the day, if you're not just simply enjoying wrestling, I hope that you can try and engage simply predicting and have fun through that. And again, Gino, it's still a dead heat. I'm not calling myself the winner. I'm not NAF, the version of MJF. I just might be better than you at predictions, and you now know it. But there's still far more of the games to come across WWE, AEW, TNA, and for what it's worth, NXT, despite the fact it's not my NXT.
Basically, what Noah's saying is we're not on the level of the devil, NAF.
And call me whatever you will. Maybe there is an evil within me. You don't know.
So, Noah's a great guy. And, shout out to everybody watching. Whether you're on the predictions now or whether you want to be in it going into next year, stay tuned. We've got more changes that we're bringing to this product for you guys to help give you guys better entertainment. Looks like you might be able to see a little bit of my purple pocket square a little bit better, but we're doing our best to make these videos entertaining. Noah's doing his best to do the predictions and make these graphics and all this stuff. Like we are striving to give you the best breakdowns possible. And we thank you everybody for watching, whether you're watching on Aaron's, mine, or Noah's. You hit the like button, smash that subscribe. Well, actually, don't smash it. Just hit it one time, because if you smash it, it's going to unsubscribe. So just hit the subscribe button.
Watch out for the algorithm and how it freaking relates to that.
Yeah, and you know what? If you are watching this and you might not be subscribed, the algorithm knows what you want to watch, even if you're not subscribed. I can't tell you how many videos that get promoted to me that I watch every week, and I'm not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like. Go on to the other guys' channels. And so for me, my channel, PapaGino0017, come check me out on YouTube. And we're doing Major Push Wrestling. We're doing the Predictions League Breakdown. We're doing Rocket League live streams. So come check that out all over my YouTube. And go check out Noah. Noah, where can the people find you that are watching on Aaron or my stream?
If they want to try and find me, good luck if you choose. I'm Foster in 1916 on the X and on YouTube. For I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it. Again, stay tuned next week. We're covering AEW Grand Slam this Wednesday night. And then, of course, we'll see a simple session here very soon with me and our Canadian friend Ash, where we'll be getting into other shenanigans and further games. And, of course, we'll be back next weekend with the shenanigans. I may be on Major Push Wrestling if the schedule allows. And you might see something else coming up here regarding the AEW Continental Cup that will determine who challenges Jon Moxley, maybe even at All In, if not afterwards. But as always, I'd like to remind you, as Monday Night Raw is about to be on the air, and I also want to encourage you to go check out the Joe Gacy interview too. But there are no winners, there are no losers, there are no betters, just fans with opinions of this passion we all share. So at the end of the day, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, treasure your friendships or life, and enjoy professional wrestling. It is truly as simple as that.
Yep, and as always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, folks. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. We'll see you next time on Predictions League Breakdown.